Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Abiola, and if it's your first time here and you're new, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. So, as you can see, I'm in a different environment today. I'm normally in the basement filming, but our basement flooded, so I'm in my room today. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 favorite eyeshadow palettes or eyeshadows that I absolutely love, that I use on a day-to-day basis. You guys really liked the foundation one I did, so I think this is going to be a regular series. I'll probably do one like every other week, hopefully. Yeah, if you're interested, please keep on watching, and if you're not, please stop right here. It's not worth your time or effort. So let's get into the video. So the first eyeshadow palette I'm going to be talking about is the Jaclyn Hill palette. Everybody has this palette by now. I'm one of those people who are late on the game, but I finally have it, and yeah, I bought this like 2 months ago, and I am absolutely in love with it. So that's what the inside of the palette looks like, if you haven't seen it by now. So it has a ton of warm shades, pops of color, black. It's just a really good all-round palette. So yeah, it's just a really good all-round palette. If you need a good palette to go on vacation on, this is it. Because you can do so many looks with it. You can do everyday, very simple looks. You can do dark, smoky looks. It's a beautiful palette. And you can buy it at Morphe.com or at Ulta. I picked mine up at Ulta. So I'd be able to use my Ulta points and coupons on it. So like, you're probably wondering, like, doesn't she not like Morphe eyeshadows? I didn't. I really didn't until they completely rebranded themselves, and ever since they have rebranded and they've upped the quality of their eyeshadows, like, boy, I actually like Morphe now. Like their eyeshadows are actually good now. So this is the newer Jaclyn Hill palette. The old one doesn't have the names of the eyeshadows on them. It only had like a little slip. This one actually has the names of the eyeshadows and the colors on the back. So if you're not sure on what color you're using, you can now see it on the back, which is absolutely great for people who are like me, who wants to know what eyeshadows I use in a look. So yeah, so the names are on the back now if you like that, and if you don't have the palette already. I absolutely love this palette. Definitely worth the money. Yeah, it's more expensive than the other Morphe palettes that are out there, but it's definitely worth the $38 price tag. Next up, we have the Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette. I have mentioned this in a favorites video in the past. This is another favorite palette that I love. If I do a warm brown halo eye, this was the palette that I usually use for my warm brown halo eye if I don't use the Morphe palette. It is so beautiful. I really like the foiled shades. I know a lot of people don't, because they don't want to use their fingers for it. Honestly, you can use a brush and wet it and apply your foils that way, or you can just use your fingers. I really don't care which method of application to apply them. All that matters to me is that I get the desired result I want, like the desired look that I want. The mattes, they blend so nicely. They're really creamy. They're super duper pigmented. You can build them up to the intensity that you want. I absolutely love it. The foils are great, like I said. The 2 shimmers that are in it are great as well. Get this palette at Sephora or hudabeauty.com. She said she was discontinuing it, but it's still not discontinued on the site ever since she released Desert Dusk. But it's still available if you are interested in picking this palette up. I will link it in the description bar below if you can't find it anywhere. It's just a really good neutral palette that I can grab and throw in my makeup bag if I'm going on vacation or if I'm going on a trip. This is a great palette to have because I can do all sorts of looks with it. Completely recommend it. This is an awesome palette. Next up, this isn't really more of like an eyeshadow palette. This is more of an eyeshadow brand that I really like. I really love Melt eyeshadows, and they don't get the recognition that they deserve. Laura and Dana and the rest of the Melt team, they don't get the recognition that they deserve for their eyeshadows. Like, I've been a fan of them since the very beginning, since they started their brand. I have a couple lipsticks by them, and I have their stacks, and I love their highlighters too. But they're so underestimated, especially in the POC community. They're so underrated in the POC beauty community. They are so underrated. Like, they do some of the best eyeshadows on the market, especially some of the best mattes on the market. Because a lot of brands now are doing really creamy mattes, really creamy, really pigmented mattes. And the issue I have with super creamy pigmented mattes is that they can be really pigmented, but they can have a lot of kick up. Or they're really pigmented, and when you dip your brush in it once and you put it in your eyes, it's too much pigment on your eyes all at once. You barely touched your brush into that eyeshadow or several eyeshadows, and it's just all intense, and then you have to spend extra time blending. What I like about Melt eyeshadows, especially their mattes, is that they're more of a drier matte. They're not super stiff to the point that you can't work with them, but they are of a drier texture, which I like. So that means I can dip my brush in the eyeshadow. I'm not gonna get kick up. I can build the intensity up to the way I like it. I can go super dark. I can go very, very light. I just love their mattes, and they're well done. They're some of the best mattes in the makeup industry, and people really needs to hop on Melt. They really do, especially in the POC community, because like I feel like I'm really the only one who talks about them. Like, I love them and I use them all the time. I do like their shimmers, however I feel like they excel better with the mattes than they do the shimmers. The shimmers are still well done, but the mattes are where it's at for me when it comes to Melt. So that's Melt eyeshadows. I have 6 out of the 7 stacks. I have all of them except the radioactive one. Radioactive I used to own, but I accidentally broke the entire stack. Yeah, I dropped it by accident, and it completely just shattered. All the shadows just shattered everywhere to the point that I couldn't salvage them. So yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing some tutorials with me using Melt eyeshadows, I will link them down in the description bar below. My last video I used the She's and Party stack, and I've done a video using the Gunmetal stack as well. I'll also put like my review of the digital dust highlighters. They're highlighters that I have, as well as a tutorial using the Rust stack, so you can see how they work for me. Next up we have Juvia's Place in general, but my favorite palette from them is the Masquerade palette. And this is what it looks like if you haven't seen it already. They do offer this palette in a mini size, so if you do not want this big of a palette, you can get a smaller version of this palette on their website. I really like this palette because this is a good palette to start off with if you're trying to get into color, or you're looking to or wanting to play more with color, because you still have the neutrals on the bottom, as well as you have pops of color on the top. So you have pink, you have blues and teals, you have purples, you have red, you have oranges, and you have your other neutral colors. And you can create so many different looks from this palette. This is the one I would pick over all the other Juvia's Place palettes, because I feel like all the other palettes build off of this one. If you think you're ready to move on from this one for another colorful palette, really, if you just want color in general, this plus the Zulu palette, they're just a bomb combination for color. What I love about Juvia's Place is that when a lot of brands do color, they don't really show up on dark skin. Juvia's Place has perfected their formula to the point that this is geared towards dark skin first. Like, we can use the oranges, the yellows, the browns as our transition shades. They're not going to be dark on us. They're actually going to show up as transition shades on us, versus if with lighter skin tones, they're going to be very, very bright, very, very colorful. I absolutely love. So definitely, if you're looking to play with color, definitely gravitate towards Juvia's Place. I have almost all of their palettes. The only one I don't have is the Douce palette, that kind of like ice creamy one. That's the only one I don't have, and I know they're releasing a new palette next month called the Festival palette. So, and I know that's supposed to be like reds and bright colors even more galore, so I might pick up those two when the festival palette drops. And I know they're coming out with liquid lipsticks too. But that's Juvia's Place. Definitely recommend this palette. If you don't have it, definitely it'll be a staple in your collection for sure. Last but not least, this is another colorful palette, and I apologize to all of you who really want this palette, but it's no longer available. This is the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca Remix palette that came out for holiday 2015. So it's literally just one big color wheel, and the neutrals are in the middle. That's what I absolutely love about this palette. The packaging is genius. It's just huge. That's the only part that I hate. It's huge. But the way she set this up as in a color wheel, it's beautiful. You have all sorts of different textures in here. You have shimmers, you have mattes, you have satins. It's beautiful, and the colors are very bright and vibrant. I try not to use this palette a lot because I only have one, and I only really pull this out if I need colors that I don't have in my Juvia's Place palette, which that's very, very rare for me to do so. Good alternative to have similar colors like these is the Morphe 35B palette. They have very close colors to this palette, which I really like Kat's eyeshadows a lot. I have a few of her other palettes. I have the Shade and Light palette, I have the Metal Matte palette, I have Chrysalis, and I have the Interstellar palette. So I do like Kat's eyeshadow formula a lot. Her mattes are also really, really good. She does mattes very well. This palette is amazing. So I'm sorry if you really want this, but it's no longer available. But this is like my other colorful palette that I love so much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite eyeshadow palettes are that you like to use on an everyday basis. A girl would like to know. Okay? Don't forget to follow me on my Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. Links are in the description bar down below. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.